Over the last few decades, many job seekers turn to the internet to find roles that suit them. You may find luck on job board sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, or Google Jobs. These sites allow companies to post job descriptions for candidates like you. This is an opportunity to help you understand what you can bring to the role. Before you begin, be sure to write down what you are looking for in a job. Maybe it's a certain salary range or a specific daily task you'd like to complete. This way, you can filter jobs that don't fit your idea of the job you'd like to have. Companies also have recruiters who are tasked with finding candidates to fill their job needs. If they believe that you fit their job qualifications, they will likely reach out to you on a professional website like LinkedIn and encourage you to fill out an application for their position. So, be sure to keep your information up to date. You can add this program to your list of experience or certificates. Hopefully, submitting an application leads to a job interview. However, it is common to submit many job applications and not hear back from any of them. Sometimes it takes dozens of applications to get even one interview. Don't be discouraged if this happens to you. This is common, and you will get better at the process of applying each time you try. Continue applying to as many positions as you find, and try not to get too attached to a particular position. Keep an open mind. Eventually, you'll find the right position. Once you get an interview, you'll want to know what's coming. How the interview process unfolds will be dependent on the employer. For smaller companies, there may only be 1 or 2 interviews. For larger organizations, however, there may be many rounds of interviews ahead of you. In most cases, the first interview, called a preliminary interview, is a fast-paced meeting conducted over a phone call or video chat. The purpose of this interview is for someone at the company, like a recruiter, to gather basic information from you, like your name, and to review your resume to briefly go over your skills and experience. While preliminary interviews are usually casual, make sure that you put your best self forward. That is, make sure you present yourself as a viable candidate for the job. The second interview is usually called a follow-up interview. This is an in-depth meeting that will likely feature members of the team that you will be working with. This will be your time to make a great impression. In a later video, we will go into more detail about how you'll accomplish this. For now, remember that follow-up interviews always require some preparation. Once you complete the interview process, you'll receive a response in the following weeks. If the news is good, congratulations on your new role. If the process ends in rejection, don't worry. I encourage you to take the time to reflect on what you can improve on in your next interview. However, there are often untold reasons why you may not have received a job offer that has nothing to do with you or your interview, so don't get discouraged. Personally, I like to believe that a no is just one step closer to a yes. Just remember that there are a vast number of opportunities out there for you to apply to. The steps to getting a job offer isn't a perfect science, but keep a positive attitude as you apply. And soon, you'll find the position that is right for you. So you've responded to a job posting and they have reached out to you and want to set up an interview. What's next? One of the most important things you can do to prepare for an interview is pre-interview research. You can conduct pre-interview research before and after you apply. It can be very tempting to go into an interview without completing any pre-interview research. However, it is important for determining if the company is aligned with your own interests and goals. The company you apply to could have different values than that of your own. Another benefit is that it allows you to learn more about a company's positive or negative reputation. Reading what others have to say about a company is a great way to get an idea of what it's like to work for that company. This allows you to view achievements or shortcomings a company may have. If the company you are interested in isn't discussed positively, more research can illustrate how the company chose to respond to the situation. And finally, pre-interview research can help you during the application and interview process. Reference the information you learned during your pre-interview research in your cover letter, resume, and interview. It'll show that you prepared for the interview, and it's a great way to let the employer know that you are serious about the role. Now that we've covered some benefits, let's explore the next steps of completing pre-interview research. The first step is to explore the requirements and expectations of the job you're applying for. To start, read and explore the requirements of the position before the interview. You can do this by reading the job description in detail. Or you can reach out to someone who has the job or has worked in a similar role. If you don't know someone personally, consider reaching out on a professional networking site like LinkedIn. Speaking with someone who has the job you're applying for can help you get a sense of the background, knowledge, and skills that you'll need to succeed in that job. Just remember to use your discretion on who you contact and how you talk to them. Be sure to keep your messages concise and professional. The second step in the pre-interview research process is to gather knowledge about the company you're applying to and, if applicable, its products or services. To find specific information, explore the company's website to learn about their values, their achievements, and company culture. You can also search for recent news articles related to the company. This step also includes exploring reviews on the company from current and former employees by visiting sites like Glassdoor or LinkedIn. Be aware, not all information like this is factual and could be biased based on the poster's personal experience with the company. This information should be taken cautiously. If you apply and schedule an interview, the third step is to determine common interview questions that may be asked. Use a search engine to ask, what are common interview questions for an e-commerce position? Compare information from different sources until you get a general idea of the most common questions asked in an entry-level e-commerce interview. You can also use other sources like reviews of the job interview process on sites like LinkedIn or Indeed in order to gather additional information about questions that may be asked. After you schedule an interview, you can use these questions to help you prepare. You may even want to ask a friend or family member to help you practice for your interview by asking your questions from the list. Or you can take time to practice your interview questions and answer in front of a mirror so that you can anticipate how you will come across to your interviewer. Whether you are deciding on applying for a position or have landed an interview, this information plays a major role in the application process. Coming up, we'll explore more ways to get you interview ready. Every step in the interview process is an opportunity to build rapport, meaning a friendly, empathetic relationship that makes communication and connection easy. Building strong, memorable connections with hiring managers is much more impactful than just submitting an application and moving on. Let's explore some tips for building rapport with your interviewer. Before your interview takes place, it can be helpful to understand who you will be meeting with and their background. To get to know your interviewers better, do a bit of research on them. Nothing extensive or invasive, just enough to know who the person is and their professional experience. Don't stray into their personal life by looking into their social media pages or other non-work-related online activities. You can find this information on the company website and the interviewer's professional website or LinkedIn profile. Smaller companies often have an About page on their company website where they'll list team members. The company site can help you learn more about each interviewer's role at the company. Once you are in the interview, remember to be yourself. Every person you meet during an interview might be a future colleague that you'll have a long-term professional relationship with. In the same way you want to know more about who they want to know more about you. That means actively sharing things about yourself to build a relationship while also being professional and respectful of their personal boundaries. Next, relax. If you find yourself nervous during an interview, remember, you're not alone. Many people with years of experience still get nervous during the interview process. If this happens, remember that interviewers are interested in your knowledge, skills, and qualifications to advance you to this point in the process. So you've already proven that you're a great candidate. To help you relax, take a few breaths before your interview begins and practice answering questions before your interview takes place. Fourth, ask questions. Remembering that your interview is a two-way street is important as it creates more opportunities for you to learn more about the person you're communicating with, the job you're interviewing for, and the company you're considering joining. In addition to asking questions about the company culture and achievements, ask the interviewer questions about what they find rewarding about their job or what they enjoy most about the direction the company is going in. The answers that they provide will lead to more insight about the people you'd be working with and how they feel about the organization. Asking thoughtful questions also demonstrates that you're interested in working for the organization and that you're curious about how to make things better. And finally, learn about the culture of the company. While it's important to follow certain social norms, you will still need to prepare so you know what to expect. Understanding the cultural norms of the company is key so that you can either be sure to match them as you interview or specifically share how you may be different. For instance, understanding how formally people dress in the office could help you decide what to wear for your interview, and it will also help you present yourself in a way that feels both respectful to the company and authentic to yourself. At some companies, wearing a suit to the interview might not be appropriate. And at other companies, wearing a suit might be a requirement. When in doubt, ask the recruiter. But it's usually better to be dressed more formally than casual. In addition, use appropriate professional language at every point in your job search, even if they don't. You want to build a rapport, but being too casual in your conversations could cause interviewers to misunderstand your ability to work in a professional environment. This could be the one thing that prevents them from recommending you for the position. Great. Now you know more about the people you're meeting and how to build a rapport with them. Move on to learn more about the interview process. In any good story, there's usually a strong beginning that sets up the narrative, an exciting middle that presents obstacles, and a resolution that wraps everything up. But imagine if the fairy tale Cinderella, which is an ancient Egyptian story popularized around the world by Walt Disney, was told with major parts missing. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Cinderella. Something happened with a glass slipper, and she lived happily ever after. You'd be very confused and have a lot of questions. The same is true with answering interview questions. During the interview, you may be asked questions like, "Can you tell me about a time when you solved a problem related to buying and selling goods online?" Or, "What part of the e-commerce industry do you enjoy doing the most, and why?" To answer these questions as well as possible, it's best to use a proper structure that provides the right amount of detail. A helpful strategy for answering interview questions is to use the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. Try to keep your responses short and focused on your main point. 1 or 2 sentences is usually enough for each part of the STAR method. For example, if an applicant with office management experience was asked, "Describe a project that makes you proud." Using the STAR method, they'll want to structure their answer in a way that's relevant and easy to follow. They'll start with a situation that relates to that question. For example, "In my last job as an office manager, the small business I worked for was growing fast and needed to move to a bigger office space." Next, they should relate that situation to the task that they were assigned. For example, they might say, "I was asked to help organize the move to a new office space so that it would be a smooth transition. My goal was to make sure there was very little disruption to the company's day-to-day work throughout the process." Then, they'll share the action that they took to complete that task. For example, "I made a list of everything we would need for the packing and moving process and created a timeline for the project to ensure everything got done at the right time and in the right order. I also kept the company owner and employees updated on how things were progressing." Finally, they'll share the result that was achieved at the end of that situation. For example, "The move went smoothly and the employees were able to focus on their work with only a few hours of disruption to get settled into the new office. Plus, the company owner was very happy not to have to deal with the logistics of the move on their own." While answering questions using the STAR method, be sure to give the interviewers a sense of who you are and why you're there. Be well prepared with specific points about how your unique background and experiences fit with the position. As you practice more and more, you'll get better at responding to all types of questions. Have you ever been asked the question, "Who are you?" At first, it can seem like a pretty simple question, right? For example, I could simply answer by saying, "I'm Erica." To go one step further, I could even add my job title and the company I work for. Now, instead of simply saying, "Hi, I'm Erica," I would say, "Hi, I'm Erica, a people consultant at Google." But even saying that isn't a larger reflection of who I am. This is where elevator pitches can help. An elevator pitch is a short, memorable description that explains a concept in an easy-to-understand way. The idea is that you only have the attention of your audience for the duration of an elevator ride, so you have to be able to communicate the concept quickly and succinctly. Elevator pitches are particularly helpful for introducing yourself to career and business connections, like at networking events or in the office. You may even notice that your elevator pitch will come in handy for other types of situations, like meeting new friends or new colleagues. For your purposes, the elevator pitch will focus on who you are, your experience, and what makes you unique as an entry-level digital marketing or e-commerce specialist. Let's explore the different parts to an elevator pitch by using me as an example. Since I work in human resources, I'll be pretending that I'm applying to an entry-level position in my field. Let's get started. First, there's the intro. It details who you are and your current role and a little bit about your professional background. Personally, I would say, "I'm Erica, and I'm a people consultant at Google with more than 10 years in the corporate environment. My current role is similar to that of a human resources business partner at other companies. My job involves helping managers, leaders, and Google employees grow in their roles to help our organization reach their goals." Next is the most applicable part of my background that I bring to a job opportunity. For example, in my time in this field, I've worked with employees and leaders at all levels to help them achieve their career goals through professional development and coaching. After that, I add in what makes me excited to be working in my industry and showcase my passion for the work that I've done. For example, I love diving deep with employees and leaders to understand their goals, passions, and what keeps them engaged and excited at work. In collaboration, I help them map out career paths and development areas which can help them achieve their goals and support their teams, organizations, and the overall business. Coming up, you'll create your own elevator pitch. If done correctly, it will help you be more prepared when an interviewer asks you to tell them about yourself. Once you've perfected it, be sure to practice it every now and again. Also, be sure to update it once you achieve more accomplishments. Good luck!